There is a sound that stops people mid-stride, a melody so pure, so impossibly refined, that it seems to bend the very air around it. On the 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica, California, where street performers compete for attention against the Pacific breeze and the chaos of urban life, one sound rises above all others. A violin, played by a girl who shouldn't exist. She stands beneath the California sun, blonde hair catching the light, eyes closed in concentration. Her bow moves across strings with surgical precision, transforming pop songs into something transcendent. Around her, crowds gather, not the polite, passing acknowledgement most buskers receive, but genuine crowds. Phones emerge from pockets. Videos begin recording. People stop their entire days to witness something they instinctively recognize as extraordinary. Her name is Karolina Protsenko. She was born in Kyiv, Ukraine, on October 3, 2008. By the time she was 10 years old, she had captivated millions. By 13, she had performed on national television, collaborated with America's Got Talent finalists, and amassed a digital empire spanning 3 YouTube channels with combined views exceeding 2 billion. But numbers don't capture what makes Karolina remarkable. Statistics can't explain why grown adults cry watching a teenager play Shape of You on a violin. Data doesn't account for the phenomenon of her presence, the way her performances feel less like entertainment and more like communion. This is the story of how a girl from Ukraine became a global sensation, how classical training met modern pop culture on California sidewalks, how a family of musicians raised a prodigy who chose street corners over concert halls, authenticity over prestige, and how, in an age of manufactured celebrity, one young violinist proved that genuine talent still possesses the power to stop the world. Before Santa Monica, before YouTube, before the millions of subscribers and viral videos, there was Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, ancient and beautiful, where Karolina Protsenko entered the world on an autumn day in 2008, born into a family where music wasn't a hobby but a language. Her father, Nikolai Protsenko, was an accomplished musician. Her mother, Ella, the same. In their home, guitars spoke in the evening hours. Piano melodies drifted through doorways. Music wasn't something you listened to, it was something you lived. Karolina didn't choose music. Music chose her. From her earliest memories, she was surrounded by instruments, by harmony, by the physics of sound made beautiful through human hands. Her parents didn't force her toward any particular path, but they created an environment where musical excellence was simply the air everyone breathed. She had 2 younger brothers who would grow up in the same sonic atmosphere, contributing to what would become a household orchestra. But even among this talented family, Karolina possessed something different. Not just aptitude, not merely skill, something more ineffable, an instinct for melody, for emotional translation through bow and string. By age 6, she had begun formal violin lessons in Kyiv. Her teachers immediately recognized unusual potential. Perfect pitch, extraordinary muscle memory, an almost supernatural ability to hear a piece once and reproduce it with minimal practice. But in 2015, everything changed. The Protsenko family made a decision that would alter Karolina's trajectory forever. They would leave Ukraine for the United States. The reasons were complex: economic opportunity, political instability, the universal immigrant dream of better lives for their children. They chose California, specifically the Simi Valley region north of Los Angeles. Karolina was 7 years old. She spoke minimal English. She knew nothing about American culture, American music, or the strange hybrid art form that was American street performance. She brought one thing with her across the ocean: her violin. Simi Valley, California, sits in the shadow of the Santa Susana Mountains, a suburban sprawl of approximately 125,000 people northwest of Los Angeles. It's known for family-friendly neighborhoods, good schools, and being the location of the Reagan Presidential Library. It is not known for producing viral musical sensations. The Protsenko family settled there in 2015, and Karolina faced the challenge every immigrant child confronts: adaptation, new language, new school, new everything. Music became her anchor, her constant, her way of maintaining identity while building a new one. Her parents, understanding the importance of continuing her training, sought out the best local instruction. They found Mr. Sam Fisher, a violin instructor who would become pivotal to Karolina's development. Under Fisher's guidance, Karolina received rigorous classical training. She learned proper technique, the exact angle of the bow, the precise pressure of fingers on strings, the mathematical relationship between position and pitch. She mastered fundamental concepts, scales, arpeggios, vibrato, shifting. She built a foundation in the classical repertoire: Bach, Vivaldi, Mozart, Beethoven. The training was traditional, disciplined, demanding. But Karolina's musical curiosity extended far beyond the classical canon. Growing up in the age of Spotify and YouTube, she listened to everything: pop, rock, electronic, hip-hop. She heard Ed Sheeran's Shape of You and wondered how it would sound on violin. She heard Post Malone's Sunflower and imagined translating those melodies into classical instrumentation. Her parents noticed her experimentation. Rather than discourage it, they encouraged exploration. Music, they believed, was universal. Why confine their daughter's talent to repertoire composed centuries ago when she could speak to her own generation? Then came the idea that would change everything. In 2017, Ella suggested they visit the 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica, a pedestrian mall famous for street performers, tourists, and the casual chaos of Southern California culture. Karolina brought her violin. The plan was simple: play for tips, gain performance experience, overcome stage fright. No one anticipated what would happen next. The 3rd Street Promenade is 3 blocks of outdoor shopping and entertainment, closed to vehicle traffic, open to the sky. On any given day, you'll find acrobats, magicians, musicians, living statues, and artists of every conceivable variety competing for tourist attention and tip-jar dollars. When 9-year-old Karolina first set up her small amplifier and music stand, she was one performer among dozens. Nothing about her suggested she would dominate this space. Then she began to play. Her first song was a violin cover of My Heart Will Go On, the Titanic theme that everyone recognized instantly. Passers-by slowed, then stopped. Within minutes, a crowd had formed. Not the casual cluster that might watch a performer for 30 seconds before moving on, but a genuine audience. People pulled out phones. The videos began. What made Karolina different from other street musicians wasn't just technical proficiency, though her playing was flawless. It was her presence, the way she closed her eyes and seemed to disappear into the music, the unconscious sway of her body, feeling rhythm in ways that transcended mere counting, the smile that appeared when she hit particularly challenging passages, as if playing brought her pure joy. She was a child prodigy who hadn't yet learned to be self-conscious, a virtuoso who hadn't yet discovered cynicism. When she played, she meant every note, and audiences recognized that authenticity instantly. Her parents filmed these early performances. Ella, recognizing the power of what they were witnessing, created a YouTube channel. The plan was modest: document Karolina's progress, share with family back in Ukraine, maybe build a small following. The first video was uploaded in 2016. Within months, it had hundreds of thousands of views, then millions. The algorithm had discovered Karolina Protsenko, and once the algorithm finds you, everything accelerates. YouTube began recommending her videos to users who watched violin performances, street musicians, child prodigies, pop music covers. Each recommendation spawned more views. Each view generated more recommendations. The feedback loop was exponential. Karolina played Despacito by Luis Fonsi and Daddy Yankee, the biggest song of 2017, transforming the Latin pop hit into a violin showcase that honored the original while transcending it. That video went viral, exploding across social media platforms, shared by millions, viewed hundreds of millions of times. Suddenly, this Ukrainian immigrant girl playing on a Santa Monica sidewalk had a global audience. Success on YouTube isn't passive. It requires consistency, quality, and understanding that the platform rewards those who treat it as a full-time job. Karolina, with her parents' guidance, committed to a rigorous content schedule. She would perform on the promenade multiple times per week, recording each session. Her parents would edit the footage, selecting the best performances, optimizing audio quality, adding professional titles and descriptions. They uploaded videos consistently, understanding that YouTube's algorithm favored channels that posted regularly. But they made a crucial decision that separated Karolina from typical content creators. They maintained 3 separate channels. The first, her main channel, focused exclusively on violin covers, pop songs transformed into classical performances, current hits reimagined through strings. This became her flagship, the channel that would eventually accumulate over 8 million subscribers. The second channel featured her singing voice. Karolina possessed not just violin talent but vocal ability, and her parents recognized the value in showcasing her full range of musical skills. The third channel was dedicated to vlogs, behind-the-scenes content, day-in-the-life videos, glimpses into her life beyond performance. This created intimacy with fans, transforming her from distant Prodigy into someone relatable, someone audiences felt they knew. The strategy was sophisticated, almost corporate in its execution, yet it never felt manufactured. Karolina remained herself, genuine, enthusiastic, clearly in love with music. Her joy was unfeigned, her talent undeniable. Her catalog grew rapidly. Shape of You by Ed Sheeran, Dance Monkey by Tones and I, Memories by Maroon 5, Shallow from A Star Is Born, Believer by Imagine Dragons, Someone You Loved by Louis Capaldi. Every major pop hit from 2017 onward received the Protsenko treatment, violin virtuosity meeting mainstream accessibility. By 2018, her videos averaged 30 million views each. Her combined YouTube presence had generated over 2 billion views. She had expanded beyond YouTube to Instagram, 2 million followers, Facebook, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music. She had become, improbably, a multimedia empire built on the foundation of a Ukrainian girl and her violin standing on California pavement. Every young performer dreams of validation from established figures. For Karolina, that moment arrived in 2019 when she received an invitation that felt impossible: perform on The Ellen DeGeneres Show. Ellen, who had built a career on celebrating unique talents and heartwarming stories, had discovered Karolina's street performances. The producers reached out. Would she like to appear on national television? Karolina was 11 years old. She said yes. The segment was quintessentially Ellen, warm, surprising, emotionally manipulative in the best possible way. Karolina performed a violin cover of Post Malone's Sunflower, and the studio audience responded with the same awe visible in her promenade crowds. The camera captured her concentration, her technical mastery, her sheer love of performance. When she finished, Ellen interviewed her. The conversation revealed Karolina's personality, shy but articulate, humble but confident in her abilities. She mentioned that she had been saving tip jar money to buy a puppy, a detail that humanized the Prodigy, reminding everyone that behind the extraordinary talent was a normal kid with normal desires. Ellen, of course, had plans. First, she surprised Karolina with a custom-made blue violin, a professional-grade instrument in Karolina's favorite color. Then she presented her with a specially designed tip jar for busking. And finally, the moment that went viral, Ellen filled the tip jar with cash, a lot of cash, accelerating Karolina's puppy fun significantly. The audience erupted. Karolina cried. The segment became one of the show's most watched of the year. But more importantly, the appearance validated Karolina's approach. She hadn't pursued traditional paths, conservatory auditions, competition circuits, orchestral positions. She had chosen the street, chosen YouTube, chosen direct connection with audiences over institutional gatekeeping. And Ellen, establishment entertainment personified, was telling her she'd made the right choice. As Karolina's fame grew, opportunities emerged to collaborate with other young musical prodigies. These partnerships revealed dimensions of her artistry that solo performances couldn't capture. Her ability to harmonize, to support rather than dominate, to create something greater than the sum of individual talents. The most significant collaboration came in 2020 when Karolina partnered with Angelica Hale, the then 10-year-old singer who had finished second on America's Got Talent Season 12. Angelica possessed a voice that seemed impossible for her age. Powerful, controlled, emotionally sophisticated. Together they performed Symphony by Clean Bandit and Zara Larsson. The performance was magic. Angelica's vocals soared while Karolina's violin wove intricate melodic patterns beneath and around the voice. Neither competed for dominance. Instead, they created genuine musical conversation. You could see their joy, not just in performing, but in performing together, in discovering the pleasure of collaboration. The video garnered tens of millions of views. Comments flooded in from viewers moved by witnessing two young women at the peak of their respective talents, creating something beautiful. It was a masterclass in musical partnership. Karolina also collaborated with Daniele Vitali, an Italian saxophonist who had similarly built a following through street performances and social media. Their joint performances blended violin and saxophone in ways that honored both jazz and classical traditions while remaining accessible to pop audiences. These collaborations serve strategic purposes, cross-pollinating audiences, expanding Karolina's stylistic range. But they also fulfilled artistic needs. Music, at its core, is communal. Playing alone is practice. Playing together is conversation. Every artist has influences. For Karolina, the most significant was Lindsey Stirling, the violinist who had revolutionized what the instrument could be in contemporary music. Stirling blended classical violin with electronic music and dance, creating performances that were as much visual spectacle as audio experience. Karolina watched Stirling's videos obsessively. She learned Stirling's songs note for note. She even began incorporating dance into her own performances, inspired by Stirling's kinetic style. Stirling represented what Karolina aspired to become, a violinist who transcended genre, who made the instrument relevant to modern audiences. In 2022, Karolina received another impossible invitation: appear on The Kelly Clarkson Show. The premise was simple: perform and be interviewed. But Kelly had planned something more. During the taping, Kelly asked Karolina about her influences. Karolina mentioned Lindsey Stirling immediately, speaking about her admiration with obvious reverence. The camera caught everything: her enthusiasm, her joy at simply talking about her idol. What Karolina didn't know, Lindsey was backstage. Kelly orchestrated the surprise perfectly, continuing the interview while Lindsey waited in the wings. Then, at the perfect moment, Kelly announced, "Well, there's someone here who wants to meet you." Lindsey walked onto the stage. Karolina's face transformed. The professionalism she maintained during performances dissolved into pure, unfiltered teenage emotion. She stood, stunned, then rushed to embrace her idol. Tears flowed. The audience erupted. But Lindsey had brought more than presence. She presented Karolina with one of her handcrafted violins, a physical passing of the torch from one generation of innovative violinists to the next. Then came the ultimate gift. Lindsey invited Karolina to perform together. They played a duet. 2 violins, 2 generations, one shared passion. Their instruments interwove in perfect harmony, and you could see in Karolina's face that she was experiencing a moment she'd remember forever. Not just meeting her idol, but being recognized by her idol. Being invited into the community of artists who push boundaries and redefine what classical instruments can do in modern contexts. Behind the heartwarming stories of talent and hard work lies a more complex reality. Karolina Protsenko is also a business. Not in a cynical sense, but in the practical reality that turning artistic talent into sustainable career requires treating it like an enterprise. The numbers are staggering. Her main YouTube channel receives approximately 9.97 million views daily, translating to over 28 million views monthly. Using conservative monetization estimates, $3 to $7 per thousand views, this generates approximately $412,000 monthly in advertising revenue alone. Annually, $1.71 million. But YouTube ads represent only one revenue stream: merchandise, t-shirts, sweatshirts, accessories bearing her logo and branding. These sales contribute significantly to overall revenue. Music sales. Her albums and singles are available on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, and Amazon Music. Each stream, each download, generates micropayments that accumulate into substantial income. Live performances. Beyond street busking, Karolina performs at events, venues, and private functions. These appearances command professional rates, sponsorships, and endorsements. With millions of followers across platforms, brands pay for exposure to her audience. Sponsored posts, product placements, affiliate marketing all generate revenue. Direct donations? Her busking bucket still fills during promenade performances. Additionally, digital platforms allow fans to contribute directly. Virtual tip jars for the internet age. By 2024, Karolina's estimated net worth stands at $1.5 million. For a 16-year-old, this represents extraordinary financial success. But more importantly, it represents security, the freedom to make artistic choices without financial desperation, the ability to invest in her craft without worry. Her parents manage the business aspects while Karolina focuses on artistry. It's a partnership that acknowledges reality. Talent alone isn't enough. Sustainable artistic careers require infrastructure, strategy, and business acumen. Karolina frequently mentions in videos that she plays a Stradivarius, or more accurately, a Stradivarius quality instrument. To understand the significance, we must understand what makes these violins legendary. Antonio Stradivari lived in Cremona, Italy, from 1644 to 1737. During his lifetime, he crafted approximately 1,000 string instruments, violins, violas, cellos. Of these, about 650 survive. They are considered the finest instruments ever made, with individual pieces selling for tens of millions of dollars. The Messiah violin, one of Stradivari's masterworks, is valued at $20 million. What makes them special? The question has obsessed musicians and scientists for centuries. The wood, spruce for the top, maple for the back, willow for internal components, was carefully selected and aged. The proportions, length, width, F-hole shape, were refined through decades of experimentation. The varnish recipe remains partially mysterious. Some theories suggest Stradivari added secret ingredients to the wood. Others propose that climate conditions in the 17th century Italy produced wood with unique acoustic properties. MIT researchers have argued that the elongated F-holes contribute to superior sound projection. But perhaps the most interesting theory comes from physicist Dr. Franco Zanini, who put several Stradivarius instruments in particle accelerators to analyze their structure. He discovered numerous asymmetries, tiny imperfections in otherwise precise construction. These imperfections, he argued, eliminate unpleasant harmonics that plague perfectly symmetrical instruments. The paradox? Perfection through imperfection. Whether Karolina plays a genuine Stradivarius, unlikely given their value, or a high-quality instrument inspired by Stradivari's design principles, the association matters. It signals that she takes her craft seriously, that she uses professional-grade tools, that she understands the relationship between instrument quality and performance excellence. The best musicians in the world, Nicola Benedetti, Itzhak Perlman, and Sophie Mutter, play Stradivarius violins. That Karolina mentions the same instruments, even aspirationally, reveals her ambitions. She doesn't want to be a YouTube personality who plays violin. She wants to be a violinist who happens to use YouTube. Today, Karolina Protsenko is 16 years old. She still lives in Simi Valley with her family. She still attends private school in California, balancing education with her musical career. She still performs on the 3rd Street Promenade, though now crowds recognize her before she plays a single note. Her YouTube empire continues growing. Over 250 violin covers, each averaging tens of millions of views. Her catalog spans multiple languages and cultural traditions, reflecting her belief that music transcends borders, that melody is humanity's universal language. She has expanded her repertoire beyond pop covers. She performs classical pieces, Bach's partitas, Vivaldi's Four Seasons, Paganini's Caprices. She experiments with electronic elements, incorporating loops and backing tracks that transform solo violin into full orchestral soundscapes. She has become a role model for young musicians worldwide, proving that unconventional paths can lead to extraordinary destinations, that you don't need conservatory admission or competition victories to build a career. That authenticity and consistent excellence, combined with modern platforms, can reach audiences previous generations never imagined. But perhaps most remarkably, she remains grounded. Interviews reveal a teenager who understands her unusual position but hasn't been corrupted by it. She still expresses genuine excitement about music. She still practices daily. She still treats street performances with the same seriousness as television appearances. Fame hasn't made her jaded. Success hasn't made her lazy. She continues working, improving, pushing her abilities while staying true to the core principle that launched her career. Play music people love, play it beautifully, play it with joy. At 16, Karolina Protsenko stands at a crossroads every young prodigy must navigate. How do you transition from child virtuoso to adult artist? The path forward offers multiple options. She could pursue traditional classical career, audition for orchestras, record albums of standard repertoire, perform in concert halls worldwide. Her technique and musicianship would make her competitive for any position. She could continue building her digital empire, expand to new platforms, develop original compositions, collaborate with producers to create hybrid classical pop fusion that defines a new genre. She could transition into performance art, following Lindsay Sterling's model, creating elaborate stage shows that combine violin, dance, visuals, and theatrical elements into multimedia experiences. Or she could do all of these simultaneously, refusing to limit herself to single career trajectories. What seems certain, Karolina possesses the talent, work ethic, and platform to succeed in whatever direction she chooses. With a net worth already exceeding $1.5 million, she has financial freedom to take artistic risks. With millions of devoted followers, she has an audience eager to support new endeavors. The violin world watches her with interest. She represents something traditional classical music has struggled to achieve: relevance to younger generations. While orchestras struggle with aging audiences, Karolina's videos reach hundreds of millions of teenagers who might never otherwise engage with violin music. She has made the instrument cool, not through dumbing down or pandering, but through genuine excellence presented accessibly. She plays technically demanding pieces, but doesn't lecture audiences about their sophistication. She simply plays beautifully and lets beauty speak for itself. There is a moment captured in thousands of videos across Karolina's career, a moment that appears regardless of song, regardless of location, regardless of audience size. Someone walking past stops mid-stride. They weren't planning to stop. They were heading somewhere, lost in their thoughts, focused on their destination. But the sound caught them. The melody invaded their consciousness and demanded acknowledgement. They turn. They watch. And for however long Karolina plays, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, an entire set, they exist in that moment with her, connected through the universal language of music. This is Karolina Protsenko's legacy, the ability to stop time, not through gimmicks, not through spectacle, through mastery of an instrument that humans have been playing for 500 years, creating sounds that still possess the power to move us, to make us cry, to make us remember what it feels like to experience beauty. She proves that in an age of algorithm-driven content, manufactured celebrity, and cynical manipulation of attention, genuine talent still matters. Excellence still cuts through. Authenticity still resonates. A Ukrainian girl stands on a California sidewalk with a wooden box and 4 strings. She draws a bow across those strings, and the world stops to listen. That's not marketing. That's not strategy. That's magic. And as long as Karolina Protsenko continues playing, on street corners, on stages, in concert halls, or through screens, that magic will persist. The melody will continue, and people will continue stopping mid-stride, captivated by a sound that reminds them why music exists at all. To connect us, to move us, to prove that some things transcend language, culture, age, and circumstance. To prove that beauty, when executed with genuine mastery, still possesses the power to stop the world.